Welcome to the Roundtable Talk Podcast. I'm Ruben Castellon.
And Chris Holland.
Streaming live from the studios of Christian1057.com WCLN. Catch us live on Facebook and watch past episodes anytime on our YouTube channel. And now a word from our sponsors. Big thanks to our inaugural sponsor, Rayford Guns, your one-stop shop for all things Second Amendment. Find them inside the yellow gas station at 5609 Fable Road and Skull Road in Hope County. Open Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and short times on weekends. You can call them at 910-709-3950 or find them on Facebook and X. Rayford Guns, check them out. Want trustworthy news? Subscribe to the Hope County edition of the North State Journal, local to global news, including sports. You can call them at 919-663-3232 or visit hulk.northstatejournal.com. And a shout out to Christian 105.7 FM, where faith and music meet. Listen to them on your phone or Christian1057.com.
And a special thanks to Dan, our producer, and 105.7 Studios, and making this all possible. So the biggest thing is happening this week, and everybody's talking about it, is the repeal of the gaming ordinance.
How about that?
So we know that over the past couple weeks, the District Attorney Mike Harden and Sheriff Virgil had both sent letters to the Board of Commissioners telling them that basically, you know, the gaming ordinance that they had adjusted, as well as just the fact that these machines were in the county anyway, was illegal. And so they did a closed session Tuesday night. It was Tuesday night because of the Labor Day holiday. But they come out of the closed session, and then, you know, Andrew Jacobs, Emergency Management. So back in during their Charlotte retreat where they were doing the budget discussions, Andrew had already told them that, you know, these things are illegal. They're causing problems. There's a lot of, you know, riffraff showing up. And so the solution at the time was now to implement a higher fee, a permanent fee. I guess they figured if they've got to pay more to have them, that they'll keep the crowds under control or whatever happened. But needless to say, Tuesday night, they repealed the gaming ordinance. They revoked all of the permits that had been issued. They're not going to issue any more permits, and then they're also going to refund all the fees for people that had purchased the permits initially. So, I mean, it's a big thing. A lot of people in the county are happy, you know, because it was just blatantly in your face. We that actually look at the laws and the statutes know that this stuff is illegal. It was just being ignored.
And you know, Chris, the funny thing about it is that one of the things that I find very interesting is the fact that, you know, everybody that knows me knows I'm also a public official. I'm a school board member. And one of the things that I find interesting is that the county commissioners don't do anything without receiving the proper counsel from their lawyer.
From their lawyer.
So I'm kind of curious, where was this lawyer at during this process? Because we known the whole time that this stuff is illegal, but what really set the tone was this when Mike Harden, our Hoke and Moore County District Attorney, sent them a letter. I got a copy of it here. It was back on August the 27th of this year. And to summarize, basically he ordered them to cease and desist this ordinance that they did. And so the good thing about it is they backtracked. And then, of course, Virgil, our Hope County Sheriff Virgil, also did a press release. What time? When it was? It was September the 3rd. September the 3rd of this year, saying that his agency was going to enforce the law. But I got to tell you, I got to add to this, okay? Because, you know, people that know me know that I was in the Hope County Sheriff's Office for a few years. And one of the most disappointing things that I found as a deputy was, and of course, you know, the law enforcement officers are bound to obey and enforce the law. That's the job. And I can't remember how many times we seize gaming machines,
Right.
only for months later to be forced to return them back to the owner. So I'm wondering that the sheriff office under the leadership of Sheriff Burgett, I hope that they don't go through this phase that I went through, that all the deputies in my era that went through, that we conducted search warrants, we executed the search warrant, we seized all these gaming machines, only to return them 6 months later. And then the agency could potentially be held liable for damages.
For damages or whatever.
You know, so I don't think as far as the county commissioners, and I tell you what, kudos to them for being able to do the right thing. You know, but again, it goes back to one question: where was the lawyer? What happened to? I'm kind of curious to know what happened to that.
So
you know?
I'll tell you, and I've been following this since about 2019, and that's when they started setting up in Rockfish, and a lot of the Rockfish residents were absolutely not in our area. You're not going to do this, and they were at the commissioners all the time. But I'll tell you, at the time, the Supreme Court of North Carolina would make a ruling, and then the legislatures would adjust the law, and then they'd make another ruling. So at times it was legal, at times it was illegal. Then it was like certain types of machines, and nobody was clear on exactly what criteria was legal or illegal. So that's what I think happened over that time period. But most recently, in the past 18 months, 2 years, the Supreme Court finally said, no, gaming machines are illegal in the state of North Carolina if they pay out money, basically gambling. So that's where they're at now. You know, I remember back, you know, watching TV growing up. Remember the Dukes of Hazzards or something like that? You know, they go out, they find a moonshine still. They take it out in the road and they break it up and throw it off, you know, haul it to the dump. You would think that they would have the same process with something like these gaming machines. You know, why is there a requirement? You take a picture, this is what we found for evidence in the court, and it goes to the dump. You know, because it's illegal, it's contraband, it should be destroyed.
And see, I'm glad you brought that up, and that is exactly the same thing that we were facing during my era as a deputy in the Holt County Sheriff's Office. Is that the law was constantly either changing or overwritten. The North Carolina Superior Court would say something, and then the legislators would change something, and then the law would get all discontorted, with ceasing, with returning. And so it got to a point, I remember it got to a point to where the late Sheriff Peterkin, I'm paraphrasing, of course, it's been such a long time, Sheriff Peterkin just made up a command decision and said, we're not ceasing these anymore because we're being held liable for damages that we didn't even know they were damaged, you know.
Right.
And so, you know, it just, my thing is that I'm glad that they were able to revert to this, because I just don't think, you know, it wasn't the best decision about doing this. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If I had to blame somebody, I'm going to have to say, where was the lawyer at? Because the lawyer gets paid to interpret the law, and it's always to proceed on the caution side.
Right. You know, you would think that sometimes we rehearse this show just the way things flow, but talking about the lawyer, so remember back when the News Journal sued for a FOIA,
Yep.
right? Because the county had to hire outside representation. What the heck was our lawyer doing then? You know, was he not competent enough to defend a FOIA request and what's actually releasable or not? But with that said, what I was going to move into with the lawyer and the law is they also decided Tuesday night to go ahead and put all the public notices back in the News Journal instead of the Fayetteville Observer. And I kind of find it ironic, and I made this comment, and I stand by it. It is election season. Commissioners are going to do things that are highlighted and that get them kudos in the public sphere. You know, look at this good stuff I'm doing. Don't worry or don't remember that it took a letter from the DA, it took a letter from the sheriff to make me do the right thing. Just remember that, you know, I put the News Journal. But a lady came up and she was speaking about seniors on fixed income and how there was a program, and I saw it. I look at the Fayetteville Observer all the time as well online, but there was a program for senior citizens to get home repairs, and she had missed that because the notice was placed in the Fayetteville Observer. So then we have Commissioner Sutherland. He comes up and trying to, I don't know if he was acting or what, but it sounded kind of like he was choked up. Well, I just didn't know, that this was affecting our community this way, and there's no way that we should be doing things that affect our community. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, yeah, because you don't have any training or experience in strategic thinking. You don't know what second and third order effects are. They don't sit down and go, well, if I make this decision,
Yeah, the dominance
this
effect.
is who's going to be affected. I mean, look at our community.
Yeah.
We're out of water. We're always hiring, more police, fire, everything. Well, fire departments are short-handed, most of them, but it's just no strategic planning, no strategic thinking. And, kudos to the lady that got up and talked about it, and that's what it takes. It does take the community coming out time and time again to expressing their dissatisfaction. But I caveat that with to say we are in election season. So anytime they can do something that's highlighted and shines a good light on them, watch out for it. Like Miss Leandro, she got up again. Every month she comes and talks about the dog pound or the animal shelter in today's society. But, it's been over, I think she said 13 months. This month will be 13 months ago they were talking about doing something, right? They've laid some plumbing out there for a new facility. But, as we're walking out, I said, don't worry about it, Miss Leandro. I said, by the beginning of the year, you'll have some stuff on that dog pound, believe me. She's like, well, I hope so. And I'm like, yeah, it's ridiculous like that the issue is so dire that we have overworked staff, we have crowded facilities, and it takes public outcry. It takes people to come out and speak their mind, and then they just keep dragging it out. Oh, I promised this, and it never comes to fruition until it gets closer to election time. So,
Well, I got to tell you, I like playing devil's advocate, and I got to give credit where credit is due. But I do got to tell you, looking at this in a different perspective, I can see, and I'm not going to give them kudos, but I can, because I can't think for them. But I saw that as an opportunity. We're going to be able to collect more money. Unfortunately, I think it was a good intent. It's because they were going to collect more money. But here's the problem I had. This is the problem, and I'll say it again. Were they given advice by the lawyer to make this decision? They had to, because that, to me, that is the problem. Now, if the lawyer told them don't do it, and they did it, I would like to know that.
You'll never know that.
And you
don't get the counsel.
And we're not going to know that. But I know. I've been told that we're beating them all the time, which we actually do. But we got to give kudos what kudos is due. And I got to tell you, I just want to publicly praise the county commission's board for giving the school board $4 million. They voted for to give the school board $4 million for land banking.
Right.
And I know that they people have been going around that we might have to take the money and all this stuff, but can they do it? Yes, they can. They can reallocate it because ultimately the county commissioners are the ones that hold the power of the purse. But it's not good practice. Right. Once you give something away, you better stand by your word. So I would like to say, thank you. And I'm going to believe that they're not going to take that money back because there's a lot of planning going on behind the scenes that we got to do all kinds of different stuff, and we got to continue to move it forward. I just want to say this. Remember, that was one of my things that when I was running land banking, and the first time. When I recommended and collaborated with the board members to be able to put that on the agenda for the funding, we requested for $6 million. We knew that it was going to be voted down, but you know what? This is what I want to say: we planted the seed.
Right.
And yes, I do agree with you. They can use that because it's election season. But but as some people say, at the end of the day,
Who benefits?
who benefits?
Right.
You know, so kudos today, because I think that this was, I would have obviously liked more, but we're not Cumberland County. The fact of the matter that they voted to give the school board $4 million to me was an awesome decision.
No, and I agree with that. You know, but that goes back to the strategic thinking, the
That's
forward
right.
planning, right? It all falls in line. Hey, this population in this county is exploding, right? That means there's going to be more kids needing seats in schools. So to be able to get ahead, because we had such a big surplus this past year, and our reserve budget has been growing and growing, yeah, let's set aside some money for future growth, for future plans, because elementary school is the next thing that's on the pipe, right?
You know it is, and I'm gonna tell you this, okay? Those people that keep up with the process of whole county, things are happening. You just got to know where to look and who knows. But I got to tell you this: we might have at any given day 1,000 houses total being built in whole county. If you multiply that by 2.5 kids,
Right.
that's a lot of kids coming up.
You know, you're talking about 7,000 kids a year.
You know, so I think it's going to happen. Some things are going to happen. Some things are not going to happen. One of the things that I've seen since I've been involved in this process is that when the county commissioners say we're going to raise taxes for this and this, oh my dear God, people come out from the woodworks and see, and they also listen to that. But the bottom line is that we have to live in the real world, and if you want more commodities in Whole County, we're not going to have choice but to go in and increase our taxes. We have no choice.
I know an alternative to that. Let's bring some high-paying industries and jobs to this county. Let's bring some income tax. Let's bring some property tax. Let's bring some sales tax. Let's diversify our tax base. You know, the rooftops that they're building out here, the tax they collect, changing it from a farm field to a subdivision, does not pay in the long run.
Absolutely not.
The services required to
Absolutely
maintain
not.
the public services for that.
I mean, my house is an example. I mean, that's a good thing. My house is an example. For lack of words, it's a fixed tax income that I'm giving the county. It's fixed. It doesn't move every year. Why? Because my house is not a business.
Right.
And if you bring in business, but we talked about this before, what we need to bring in business, the infrastructure, and that is behind the power curve. You know, but I'm hoping that with the proper pressure, whoever the county commissioners are, whether it's these 5 county commissioners or something happens in the next election cycle, they need to lobby it, because we just don't have the money, lobby it for grants to bring this infrastructure that we need. It's not one, it's something we need.
Right, and unfortunately, you know, they should have started this process 10 years ago.
At least.
Because it's not like you can go out tomorrow and dig a well and run 10 miles worth of pipe.
Of course not.
In a week. You know, it's going to take years to get back up to where we need to be now, and at the same time, we continue to grow. But talking about elections, this is kind of flying way below the radar. Nobody's paying attention to it. Rayford City Council and Mayor is up for election in November. You know, nobody's talking about it. It's just kind of one
And
of
why
those
is that?
things. I don't know. I mean, you know, like you said, the county commissioners always getting beat up. Nobody talks about the city council. You
Why
know,
is that?
What they're doing in Rayford, because nobody.
They're doing the
lives in
Rayford City stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because we don't live in Rayford is probably, but no. So Charles Allen is running. His name's Willis, Mr. Willis. What was his name? Wayne Willis. They're both incumbents. They're running for re-election. They have one challenger, Miss Shirley Hart from the Tia Hart Institute.
Okay.
She's running for a seat on the city council, and then Mayor McNeil is running again. He had talked about retiring.
Yeah, what happened?
He just wanted to run again, and I can't recall the name of his challenger, but he will be back up for election as well. He's running for another term. I won't say a second term, another term. And just for those that are in the city of Rayford limits, your election is going to be held on November 4th, with early voting beginning on October 16th. Voting hours will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and one Saturday on November 1st from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The only polling site is the Board of Elections down in the Pratt building. There won't be any Sunday voting during this municipal election. So I know that the last, in, what was it, 21, I think, yes, whatever the odd number is. But I think there was like 900 total votes in the county, and there's like 13,000 registered voters inside the city limits. So I mean, turnout is poor, and just like I said, it's kind of flying under the radar. You don't hear anybody talking about it. Nobody, candidates out beating the bush or anything. We live outside the Rayford city limits, so we might not see all of it. There's no need for them to come out here and talk to us, but I don't hear of any activities going on. I don't hear anything. So I think that contributes to a low turnout. People just aren't paying attention. Oh, wait.
And here's the thing, some might be running just on name recognition, and when you think you have it in the bag, some people do think that way. It's already in. I tell you what, when Johnny Boyles ran for city council and he got in, the population in the city limits of Rayford is over 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Let's just assume that, say, 2,000 are voters.
Did I say 13? I meant, yeah.
So let's just say that 2,000 of those 3,000 are voters. 500 and some of those people voted during Johnny Boyles' election. Think about that.
Yeah.
And that is... That tells me on one thing: people are not well informed on how critical, even at the city level, how important elections are. Because I'm gonna tell you this right now: there could be something that they could put a city ordinance, they could vote in a city ordinance. I can't think about it at the time, but they can do something that can affect the county. When sooner or later you're bound to go into the city for something.
Yeah.
And most parking in the city area is free.
Right.
Right now. Well, I hope they're not listening to me because I don't want to pay. I hate having to pay to park anywhere. But see, this is an example. That's an example that I'm providing that it can affect everybody in the county because sooner or later you're gonna go downtown.
Yeah, and those people that live inside the Rayford city limits, I mean, you're talking about tax policy, you're talking about growth, you're talking about all kinds of just opportunities. What is the city providing? And so it's important to know who's running. It's important to know their platform, and it's important to get out and vote. At the end of the day, I say, we have a right to vote. I say we have an obligation to vote. We have the freedoms, we have the liberties, we have, the life that we do as Americans because of the vote, because of the power of the vote. And for those that don't vote, you're just leaving it up to somebody else to decide how your life should be governed. So I say everybody get out and vote.
Well, you got to be, I'm going to tell you this right now. You have to be informed, number one. Number two, if you're eligible to vote, you should be registered to vote and vote. Let me tell you, look at what's happened to New York. This could happen here too.
Yeah.
This is they're about to potentially vote in a Muslim mayor that's already proclaimed that he hates Jews. And people, and he's a communist, and people are so uninformed that they're so happy because I hear the common denominator, oh, he so eloquently speaks.
Mm-hmm.
This is, and I'm not saying that the city of Rayford is in that situation, but they're not informed. I mean, we have the evidence that during Johnny Boyles' election, only 536 people that voted out of potentially 2,000 voters. Not even 50% of the voters voted. So that's just uninformed on a different channel. I just want to say something. I think this is very important because I beat this horse to death when we were on lockdowns. The North Carolina Supreme Court says that bars COVID-19 lawsuits can proceed.
Right.
And to me that is wonderful because a lot of people have died while it's not being publicized because it doesn't benefit anybody, especially those people that profited from this. I'm glad that these companies are going to be able to sue it, and I hope the state of North Carolina, specifically Roy Cooper, gets successfully sued. And the other thing that I want to address that it's not getting a lot of traction anymore because it's dear to my heart is the shooter situation in Minneapolis. I'm not going to mention the name of this evil person, but I'm going to tell you one common denominator that the shooter has, okay? Denver shooter, trans. Aberdeen shooter, not Aberdeen, Moore County, but another location, trans. Nashville shooter, trans. Georgia shooter, trans. Philadelphia shooter, trans. Iowa shooter, trans. Fluid. I don't even know what that means. Okay. Univale, Unadale, trans. Colorado shooter, trans. Minnesota shooter, trans. And they consider the rednecks the issue with an AR.
Right. Yeah.
This is what I'm talking, and this is all preventable. This is what I got to say about this. Okay, don't be coming after my Second Amendment rights because you have a confused young man doing despicable, evil acts against the innocent. Okay, they're targeting, these people are targeting, and I'm not going to say all of them, but these people are targeting Christians. So you need to stay alert and stay alive, because if you don't, the unthinkable can potentially happen to you. This is an unspeakable act. What I would say, they're talking about restrictions. This is what you need to do. And I don't even know if I get resistance of this, but I thought about this. Okay, in order for you to get a gun, obviously I'm talking legally. You can always get a gun illegally, but in order for you to purchase a gun legally, you should be able, especially if it's questionable, if your character is questionable, because the person that's filling out the application for you, that person knows if you're questionable or not. Yeah, make an assessment, and you should be required, because you want to hold people liable for this, because this guy committed suicide, so you can't hold him liable. If this individual was pumped up with steroids, medications to so-called transition, and this child was under 18, the parent, been seriously interesting, the mother lawyered up real quick. Okay, the medical doctor or doctors that are prescribing these steroids, whatever medications that were pumping on his body, they got him all outraged, started to hate people he don't even know. This person or people should also be held liable. This is how you can prevent this, and people won't be so quick to ascertain these young, confused men or women.
So I was watching Kennedy on the, he was getting grilled today in the Senate. And so basically he made a comment earlier in the week about the psychotropic drugs, the drugs that these transitioning individuals are on. And he talks about, earlier in the week he had said it's, causes mental health, rage, suicidal and murder ideations and stuff like that. And so there's one of the Democrat senators trying to call him out. He's like, "Are you trying to tell us, that these drugs?" And he's like, "Yes." He says, "There's black label warnings on these drugs.
Hello.
The studies show that when you introduce these drugs to these individuals, that they start
of course
causing psychos, and people get murderers, suicidal, and just, that's the thing." And, it was a Republican that did it, Reagan. He's the one that shut down the asylums back in the day to try to save money. But at the end of the day, there has to be some kind of societal push, safety net, something to help these individuals through their whatever they're going through.
Their mental disorder, because it's really
without drugs.
Yeah, you cannot. I'm going to paraphrase what Donald J. Trump said. Okay, if you have DNA boy, you a DNA boy. If you got DNA girl, you a girl. You can cosmetically do whatever you want to do to your body, but inside you're still what you are. And so we need to hold. If I was the king and I had my way, I would, in effect, be able to hold these people alive. I would start with the parents if this child was under 18. But in any case, I want to thank, or we want to thank everybody very much for watching our show. We look forward to the next episode. Again, this is episode 140. And special thanks to our inaugural
sponsor, Rayford
sponsor.
Guns,
Yes.
located at
where am I
401
at?
and Skull Road. Open Monday through Friday, 10 to 7, and it shows on the weekends.
On the weekend. You can call them at 910-709-3950 or find them on Facebook or X. Check out Rayford Guns. And also, if you want trustworthy news, go ahead and subscribe to the Hoke County edition of North State Journal. Covers local to global and sports. Call 919-663-3232 or visit hoke.northstatejournal.com. And obviously, a special thanks to Christian 105.7 FM, where faith and music meet.
Oh,
Listen,
yeah, go ahead.
listen to them on your phone or Christian1057.com.
I just want to throw out these notes real quick. We've about a minute over, but the Philippi Presbyterian Community Church is holding a community outreach event this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Join them for community fellowship, fun, and food. Accounting agencies, along with community resources, will be on hand with information for community families. Some vendors will include Hoke County Sheriff's Department, Hillcrest Fire Department, Hoke County Bookmobile, Ranger Jimmy from Weymouth Woods Sandhill Preserve, along with a few critters native to our area. Hoke County Partnership for Children and Families. Lots of fun for the kiddos, including a bounce house, free hot dogs, chips, water, and drinks while they last. And also on Friday night, the Cumberland County Young Republicans are holding a relaunch meet and greet. If you are between the ages of 18 and 40, join them for an event on September 8th at Cadillac Ranch on Fort Bragg Road. You know where that's at?
Yeah, I know exactly where it's at.
From 7 until 10 for pizza and engagement with other young Republicans. That is open to Hoke and Cumberland County Young Republicans. We don't have an active chapter here at this time, so feel free to go over there and mingle with the other young Republicans age 18 to 40. That's at Cadillac Ranch, 7 to 10 p.m. Friday.
From Ruben Castellone.
And Chris Holland.